Good morning. Today we continue our study of the Gospel of Luke and we're focusing on chapter 9. Now, a lot happens in this chapter which describes a crucial point in the life of Jesus and his disciples, including some wonderful revelations. For me, there are three significant milestones in chapter 9. Firstly, there's the disciples, having witnessed Jesus' teachings and miraculous power up to this time. Here in verse 1, he gives them power to heal and to cast out demons before sending them on their first mission. They become channels of his power, and they need it because he deliberately sends them with no resources other than his power. Secondly, we see them being used in the miraculous feeding of the 5,000, an incredible miracle. Thirdly, he prepares his disciples for his ultimate death and resurrection from the dead, and through his transfiguration on the mountain, witnessed by Peter, James, and John, confirms his deity, and being seen speaking to Moses and Elijah in glory, gives them a glimpse of the hereafter. Incredible. Today, I want to just focus for a few moments on the miraculous feeding of the 5,000 plus multitude. Having received power from Jesus in verse 1, their first mission in the area had caused a tremendous stir and multitudes began to follow. So much so that when Jesus went to Bethsaida with his disciples to get a little bit of privacy, they couldn't escape the crowds and they were followed by over 5,000 people. The day of ministry and healing of all that crowd was drawing to a close, and the disciples became concerned about the welfare of the crowd, reminding Jesus, as if he needed reminding, that all these folks needed feeding. And Jesus says something very interesting to them. He says, "You give them something to eat." Now, Jesus had deliberately sent them out with no money, no food, not even a spare tunic, and certainly no resources in a human level. And you can imagine they were taken aback by his words. You give them something to eat. However, he may not have told them to rely on natural resources, but he had given them the most precious resource of all, his power. I guess Jesus is putting them to the test. You give them something to eat, were his words. They obviously needed more convincing of just what his power can do in their hands as channels of his power. So he takes what little food is to hand, just 5 loaves, 2 fish, and he blesses that food. And here's the beautiful part. He gives it to his disciples. They then participate in that miracle, doing just what he had told them to do when he had said, "You give them something to eat." The multitude was fed with plenty to spare, and it was the disciples who would become channels of the miraculous. Friends, as disciples, we remember that we are channels of his power. We have the privilege, through the Holy Spirit's power, of being channels of blessing, channels of the good news of the gospel, channels of the Lord's healing and delivering power to those who need it today. As we read through this mighty chapter today, we get a glimpse of God's glory, a promise of resurrection, and a reminder that we can participate in the miraculous, as Jesus says to each one of us, "You give them something to eat." Have a great day.